Awesome. That's great. Well, good morning, everybody. First of all, I just want to thank you all for being here so bright and early on this snowy day, including our amazing special guests, my wonderful colleagues Jennifer Johnson and Justin Wright. I know are very passionate about this topic and doing great work in rural Alberta, as well as our municipal counterparts. We've got Bart Guillaume, we've got Kathy Heron and Grant Creasy. This takes me back to my days of municipal affairs. It is wonderful to be here on the same stage again. So thank you for taking the time to be here with us today. So with that, today we are here to announce major new funding to continue to protect all Albertans from the potential impacts of droughts and floods. Of course, our province is not a stranger to emergencies. The 2013 flood in Calgary was one of the worst and most expensive disasters in Canadian history. We saw homes devastated, businesses ruined, and tragically 5 people lost their lives. Since then, Peace River, Fort McMurray, Edson, Whitecourt, and many other communities have seen homes and businesses lost as well. On the other hand, this time last year, we were preparing for the potential of one of the more severe droughts we've ever seen. Thankfully, spring rains prevented that from happening, but many communities in southern and northern Alberta still struggled through water shortages. Unfortunately, I can't make it rain during droughts. We can't make the rain stop during floods. I was asked this morning if I could stop the snow. I can't do that. But we can be prepared and be proactive, and that is what today's announcement is all about. Albertans are not people who back down from a challenge. We are the home of innovators and problem solvers, the kind of people who, when they see an issue, they roll up their sleeves and get to work to help out their neighbors. Communities across this province know all too well the dangers that they face and the risks in their own infrastructure and communities. But of course, building this infrastructure is expensive. And municipalities and Indigenous communities are already struggling in some cases with rapid growth, the rising costs of the federal Liberal government, the impacts of potential tariffs, and many other challenges. That is why today we're announcing $19 million to build the next wave of infrastructure that this province so much needs. This funding will be spread across the province, with 8 municipalities and 2 First Nations receiving support for a wide range of projects. We're working with communities and providing local grants because we know that needs differ from region to region and community to community. These dollars will build vital flood defenses, improve water storage, and defend the critical infrastructure that communities rely on. Projects include a new berm to safeguard Siksika First Nation and its critical infrastructure, construction of a massive wall to protect the Slave Lake Hospital and helipad from major floods, water storage system expansion in Brazeau County and Saddle Hills County to support their communities during droughts. It will help Medicine Hat protect its critical wastewater treatment plant, help Calgary expand its flood protection system, and help St. Albert improve the natural infrastructure around Carrot Creek. This is all part of the $125 million that we are investing through the Drought and Flood Protection Program over 5 years. We will continue to make the investments necessary to protect our people and communities from droughts and floods for years to come. Thank you very much, and I will now invite Kathy Heron, Mayor of St. Albert, to say a few words.
Thank you. I love the fact that Rebecca and I are on the same height. Ish. And we do miss you at Municipal Affairs.
Thank you.
So yeah, on behalf of my colleagues at the City of St. Albert Council, I really wanted to extend my sincere appreciation to the Government of Alberta for funding the Carrot Creek Erosion Protection Project. The $2.821 million project funding provided through the Drought and Flood Protection Program will make a vital contribution to the success of this project. Carrot Creek is an important regional tributary to the Sturgeon River, and that flows through 3 different municipalities, including St. Albert. The funding will help enable the City of St. Albert to enhance long-term bank stability in Carrot Creek, reduce sediment erosion, improve stormwater conveyance, and preserve riparian areas and creek integrity. This project's primary objective will be to help protect the creek against erosion, scouring, and to make it more resilient to flood risks from existing runoff and peak flows. Current adjacent infrastructure, such as road crossings and rail crossings, will benefit from these erosion protection measures, while ensuring Carrot Creek is resilient and ecologically protected for the long term. One of our council's key priorities is focused on the environment, in particular on protecting our waterways and green spaces, not just now, but also for our future generations. The funding announced today will help St. Albert continue to make progress towards this environmental priority, and we are grateful for the province's generous support for this work, because without it, this project probably would have not gone forward. So thank you. And am I supposed to introduce Grant? My friend Grant Creasy from Lacombe.
Thank you, Mayor Herron. Appreciate that. Well, it's certainly a pleasure to be here among friends and colleagues. Lacombe is well known for its beautiful scenic water bodies, many of which are integrated with its city's stormwater management system. As valued city assets, they do require ongoing investment, as Minister Schulz alluded to, and they're expensive. The funds awarded today will help ensure that this protection of both public and private infrastructure moves forward through the stabilization of Lake Elizabeth. This area is a recreational gem in our community and provides flood mitigation to existing homes and others soon to be developed. Thank you to the Government of Alberta for this new funding stream, and especially Minister Schulz and her dedicated team for recognizing the importance of this project and investing in the safety and growth of our community. It is certainly appreciated. Thank you. And next up, we have Reeve Bart Guillaume from Brazeau.
I was saying there when they announced Grant's name, I thought there was another Grant I missed. So, so yeah, I'm here as the Reeve of Brazeau County, and similar circumstances. We tried doing the patchwork program to a community just northwest of Drayton Valley. It's a multi-parcel subdivision, but doing the short-term fixes just wasn't cutting it. So we applied for this grant, and I was going to say too, the minister asked if I wanted to be there, and I thought, you know, I'm going to say no to a minister that says she's got my back. I don't think so. So we're glad to be here and to participate. And just to say, like, Minister, you're like dynamite. You're in a small package, but you're powerful. So, yeah, thanks to you and your staff there. It's muchly appreciated, and we'll be able to do it right. So thanks, and take the rest of the day off.
Thank you, Reeve. We will now go to the question and answer portion of this press conference. We will start on the room before going to the phone. We'll go to Chelan first.
Thank you. Yeah, Schulz with CTV Edmonton. My question actually is unrelated to today's announcement, and is actually directed for Mayor Herron, if I could. Yeah. Wanting to ask the
Surprise for me.
Sorry.
Scary moment for me.
Not scary. I'm hoping to ask you about the Provincial Priorities Act, Bill 18. It's coming into effect next week.
Yes.
I know when it was previously introduced, you were among several municipal leaders who had some concerns about it. I guess talk to me a little bit about those concerns, and if it could result in the loss of federal funding for your city and others.
Well, I would hope that the provincial government of Alberta would not allow that to happen. I think there is concern more, not about the loss of funding, but the added burden of an extra step in the process. And I think it needs to be said that the province needs to be very clear on what those priorities are. I think we share the same priorities, which is the betterment of Alberta. But there needs to be some respect for the autonomy of a municipality and what their electorate voted for as their priorities, as opposed to maybe what the provincial government is saying. So we need to have those conversations about clarifying what priorities are.
Yeah, I guess further to those concerns around local autonomy, and if other mayors or Reeves want to weigh in on this as well, I'd love to hear from you additionally. But in terms of, the ability of local governments to really pursue funding from the federal government, do you feel that there is a risk there that could be lost?
Well, there could be, and the example is transit funding right now. So the region is looking, the Edmonton region is looking for transit funding, but the provincial government is going to apply for it on our behalf. I think that's the step that I'm concerned about. Hopefully they do apply, and hopefully that federal dollars does land in Alberta. Thanks.
We'll go to the next question. Morgan.
I'm just wondering the timeline for these projects.
Oh, I don't know about that one.
Or hopeful timeline.
Yeah, so the timeline for the funding, communities across the province can apply in the fall, as the communities here did last fall. And so we are announcing essentially that tranche of projects and funding. This fall coming up, we would expect that there will continue to be a lot of excitement and engagement when it comes to this program. And we will see a number of other communities sign up and apply for the dollars. In the first year, we did, of course, I'm sure nobody is surprised to know that the program was oversubscribed in terms of how many communities did apply for funding. But it's great that we can see these dollars roll out to make a difference in communities, help us be prepared for when flood or drought is going to face communities across the province. And then if you would like, we could maybe get some follow-up for you on some of the specific projects that you might want to know about. We can happily reach out to the communities to get their timelines for construction.
Well, and then for my follow-up, I think for you, Minister, but then also maybe for everyone else to weigh in. Obviously, we're talking about flood today, but wildfire increasingly a problem in communities. Is that another similar initiative that you're looking at to give them like fire smarting communities? And then for you folks, what would you like to see to better like fireproof your communities as well beyond flood?
Yeah, that largely falls under forestry and parks, and so that's out of the scope of this project specifically. This program specifically is to help communities deal with flood and drought protection. I think in many cases, as you heard a couple of our municipal partners say today, that there are also ecological and riparian benefits of some of these projects, but the main focus, of course, is flood and drought. But I do know that Minister Lowen, Minister McIver, myself, Minister Ellis, of course, work very closely with communities to ensure that we are doing what we can to protect against wildfire as well. I'm not sure, does anybody have anything to add?
Well, I know that I did fire prevention, Fire Smart around my home, and 2 days later my house burned down, so.
We will go to the next question. Sean?
Just a question for any of the municipal leaders. I understand you're here because you're celebrating getting funding, but are there any other kind of projects that you need to have done on the next one? Any kind of shortfalls in this round of funding that you're looking to have taken care of sooner rather than later?
Specific to this grant?
Yeah, specific to this grant, any other projects in your community that are emerging that will also need funding? Or are you good?
Never good. I think I said in my remarks that our project, the Carrot Creek erosion study, probably would not have happened. It's an expensive project, and $2.8 million is a fraction of that. So the municipality will be also putting up money, and that was an unfunded project until this grant, and until we got the recipient of it. So we are along the Sturgeon River, which is a beautiful prairie river that some people quite often think is dying, but I try to explain to them that prairie rivers look like this. There's lots of weeds and there's lots of fish, and sometimes the fish die in the winter. So we have outfall issues in St. Albert because the storm water that collects on our roads, we're an urban center, ends up in the Sturgeon River. So we've spent millions of dollars over the last 10 to 15 years, one outfall at a time, upgrading. So this would be, I think, a perfect use of this grant money in the future. But this was our number one priority, was Carrot Creek.
Any idea how much more you might need to take care of all the projects on your wish list?
Oh, no, but I think we have 13 or 14 outfalls, and we've maybe done 6 of them.
Okay, so you'll need ongoing funding.
If it's available, for sure, yeah.
We'll go to Radio Canada.
Well, and can I just add, though, there of course were communities that also applied for funding that did not receive funding in this grant intake, and that could be for a variety of reasons. Either the project wasn't specifically focused on drought and flood protection, or maybe there were gaps where the project wasn't quite ready to move forward. But of course, then those communities can still apply again next year for next year's round of funding.
So how many more projects or municipalities did you want to fund, but you didn't quite have the money this time around?
Yeah, you know what? I think right now we can provide that in background. I think the department does a very good job at ensuring that there is readiness and that all of the projects that are coming forward meet the criteria of this specific program, which is for drought and flood protection.
We'll go to Radio Canada.
Do you believe that with climate change, those flood and drought events will be more and more important and will happen more and more often?
Yeah, we have been seeing over the last number of years more swings when it comes to drought and floods. This is something that I certainly know has been a topic of conversation of environment ministers across the country, but also around the world, just in ensuring that we have the infrastructure needed to help manage those events, and that's what we're here talking about today.
And maybe a question for Mayor Herron, but actually anybody can jump in. With those events, flood, droughts, wildfires being more and more frequent, is it putting pressure on your municipal budget?
I would say 100%. I mean, there is a requirement for municipalities to have reserves to cover off some of the expenses, insurance related, after an event like that. You know, we had a storm in St. Albert that actually reversed the flow of the Sturgeon River because it was raining so hard in the east, and it reversed. Like, it's amazing to watch. So, of course, every municipality is doing their part to apply for these kind of grants and do these kind of projects to offset that, and that comes with escalated costs for sure. But there's the cost to try to prevent, and then there's the cost to recover at the same time.
We'll go to Catherine.
Yeah, so what's the status of the provincial flood mapping?
Yeah, that is a great question. That was something that we have been working very quickly to move out on. We've just had a few more areas of flood mapping released for public engagement. Of course, we want to make sure that we have community input and local input into those final flood mapping details. And so we can absolutely get you a breakdown of how many communities have already been completed and what's out there for engagement right now.
And there's that saying that an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, but have you crunched the numbers on how much this funding will prevent in damage in the long term?
Yeah, in some cases it's tough to quantify, and maybe our municipal partners would like to speak to that, because each municipality, this is why, instead of us as a provincial government looking to pick and choose the projects, this is open for community application. And really, I think the beauty in that is that local communities know best what their biggest risks might be, both, I would say, from an infrastructure perspective, but also from a cost perspective. And so this allows them to prioritize the projects that will have the biggest impact in a positive way when it comes to flood and drought protection, and hopefully I would say not be faced with even higher costs with dealing with those disasters down the road. Did anybody have anything specific?
Well, I think if you open the floodgates, literally, there's a lot of projects that if they're done ahead of time, there'll be savings made. And so I think, we've got about a $12 billion deficit funding, needed to fix what's broken. But by doing those fixes, you'll prevent a wreck in the future.
I think it would be foolish to suggest that there are not an awful lot of projects in the province like there is across the nation here. But we were certainly pleased to receive this money and put it towards a priority project in our community. As was mentioned, the municipal leaders know their communities best, and we'll see that these funds are used as best as possible for the most bang for the buck in their community. But we're not blind to the fact that funds are not limitless, and we will look forward to the next round and make applications accordingly, but also understand we have many other communities in the province that we're not quite so fortunate to be selected, and likely have projects as well.
Thank you, everyone. Seeing no more questions in the room, and we have no questions on the line. Have a wonderful day. This concludes today's press conference.